What's up, everybody? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, joined today by Bellator light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. He is Ryan Bader, and Ryan, we've been kind of waiting to hear some news about not only you but a lot of different Bellator fighters.
Yeah.
Now they've picked back up operations. Obviously, they returned with a card last weekend. So let's hear about you, man. What you got? Any news?
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time too. I've been in a training camp since I thought I might have a fight in Rising in January, and then maybe in February. Booked one in May that got postponed or canceled, and so I've been going this whole time. So probably last week we finally got a name. I was in that middle ground of, are we going heavyweight or are we going light heavyweight? And that's kind of a big deal for me. I got to know that. And so finally figured it out. We're going to fight Vadim Nemkov at 205 for the light heavyweight title. I'm excited about that. Lack of options, we're going to have to fight heavyweight again, but they can get him into the country apparently, and so that's a fight. He's definitely deserving of that title shot at light heavyweight, and it's one of those fights that I've been looking at for a long time. I think he definitely deserves it, and it's an interesting, intriguing fight. I haven't fought since 2017 at light heavyweight, so I'm ready to go down and defend that belt.
Yeah, so it sounds like it came down to him, and the heavyweight option would have been a rematch with Czech Congo.
Yeah, it was all kind of up in the air. We were kind of throwing out names and seeing what we could do. Who was in the U.S. at the time, and then so I had that. As far as a lot of Bellator fighters didn't know really who they were fighting. On top of that, I had what weight am I fighting at? Do I need to be 235 or do I need to be 225? And start that cut. So found out basically like a week and a half ago, and perfect timing. I've been training, I'm ready. And so, like I said, I've just been chomping at the bit, been ready to go for a while now.
Week and a half ago. So yeah, you got some time to, obviously, I'm sure you'll make the weight, no problem. But that was a long period of kind of you were in flux. I mean, what was it like basically training for months, not knowing where you were going to go? And I mean, what were you really hearing from Bellator? Because I will say that they were one promotion where they kind of just like you expected them to come back at some point, but they really weren't giving us a whole lot of updates. So what were you hearing behind the scenes, and what was that like?
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing a little bit. In training, you like to peak at a certain time, and it's pretty scientific the way we do it. And so for us, for everything to be up in the air, we were training for May, that got canceled. Okay, maybe we're coming back into June, so try to peak for that. And then now it looks like it's going to be July. Now maybe August, and so it was a good day the day they started announcing it, and they were kind of up in the air. They were going to take their time. We kind of knew that, and see how everything kind of played out. UFC jumped right in and started throwing shows, and I think they wanted to kind of see how everything was going to go and really find out where, because they were talking about doing it in California at the beginning, which really, I mean, everybody's kind of scared of not happening, which looked like it wouldn't happen anyway. So I think they're trying to find their venue, trying to find a place where they can do it and keep everybody safe and do a bunch of fights in a row, which looks like they are going to continue to do for a couple months. So I'm just fortunate they're going right now, and we get to fight.
As an athlete, what did you think of the UFC's sort of aggressive approach compared to Bellator's, let's kind of let the dust settle and see what happens? I mean, can you take us back a little bit to May when the UFC was putting on shows? What were you thinking at that time?
Well, I was kind of thinking that Bellator was going to follow right in their footsteps and be going in end of June. At the end of the day, it was a month later, end of July, so it wasn't a big deal. I liked what the UFC did. They went in there, and obviously they have the infrastructure and the people to be able to do stuff like Fight Island and they're in Vegas at their own facility. And so I see both sides. I see wanting to jump in right away as a fighter. That's what I wanted to do, but as a businessman, how they're running the business and, Viacom and backed by other big businesses that had to be safe and had to sit and look at, all right, let's see how this plays out. And if it plays out all right, let's try to do our own thing. And I think that's what they did. And, it was smart on both sides.
Yeah. What can you tell us about Nemkov? I mean, a quick look at his record, and he's fought he's fought the guys that you would want him to fight in Bellator,
Yeah.
right? He collected the wins. What can you break him down in terms of what you're seeing as an opponent?
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a younger guy, coming up. He has beat a lot of former champions in Bellator. The fight that that I was interested in seeing was the Phil Davis fight. They went to a split decision. I kind of thought Phil won that fight. He comes out. He's a very, very fast starter. He comes out that first round. He puts his opponents through a fast pace. Throws a lot of volume. He's strong. He's a good grappler in that first kind of second round. He starts off fast, but he doesn't finish well. He's never been into a 5-round fight. Rarely he's gone to 3. A couple times he's quit and rising after 1 round, 10-minute round with jury. So I look at this fight like any other fight. Every guy you go out there at this level is talented. What I bring is kind of a mix of everything, wrestling. I'm a heavy hitter. I can strike. But I think the most important aspect is I bring that cardio, to, obviously heavyweight, but to light heavyweight too. I believe I have some of the better cardio there. I've been through 5-round fights. I know how that feels. I've beaten guys by just staying on them, pushing the pace, making them quit, looking for a way out, So this fight's going to be tough. It's going to be, he's a very talented guy. He wants this, he wants to be a champion, and he's Fedor's guy, so he wants some revenge and all that kind of good stuff. But I just feel like I'm going to be too much for him, especially as the rounds go on.
One thing, the news came out earlier this year, and then obviously the pandemic sort of ground everything to a halt, but there was that, that announcement that Bellator is sort of under the umbrella of Showtime now, and Steven Espinoza, and it's kind of been a restructuring of the company. And I mean, you're one of the faces of that promotion. You hold 2 of their belts. Have you really had any conversations with Espinoza or really anybody at Bellator in terms of, okay, what is this going to mean? What is going to be the biggest difference? What are fans going to see in terms of a difference between now that it falls under Showtime umbrella as opposed to what we're used to?
Yeah, I haven't really had any conversations, so this is all hearsay from me, but under the CBS Showtime umbrella, there's a couple different options of what I'm hearing, potentially Showtime, a CBS Sports, and then, those bigger tentpole fights could be on a regular CBS primetime, which would be huge, just more exposure. Definitely being double champ here in Bellator would be big to just get my name out there even more. Put on good fights, and so, I love being over here. I've been having fun. I got to do a lot of fun things. I came over and fought for the light heavyweight title, defended it. Then I got to go into the heavyweight Grand Prix, and fight those guys. I ended up fighting Fedor, in the finals and win the heavyweight championship. So it's been a super fun ride, and I like to see them keep progressing. And I think this is that next step with going into primetime with CBS, Showtime, having Espinoza and Coker on board. I think they're doing the right thing and going in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. It seemed like, Paramount Network was just, it's a fine spot for mixed martial arts. It's not necessarily like a natural spot for it.
Yeah.
And so to go under where Showtime has experience with this, and potentially on network television, it seems like the broadcast side of this thing could improve. For you as a competitor, like you just said, you've kind of ran through a lot of the different things that I think if a lot of us would have sat there and said, Brian Bader's going over to Bellator, what are some of the fun stuff he can do there? You've gone through a lot of it at this point.
Yeah.
And sports are goal driven, right? So
yeah,
I want to ask you, what are your goals now? What do you want to do over the next couple of years? I mean, what is at the top of that list?
Yeah, so when I came over, that's one big reason why I was so interested. I sat with Coker and Rich, and they were asking me, would you willing to go up to heavyweight? Would you be willing to go fight in Japan? Those kinds of things. And that's what I was looking for at that point. I wanted to be world champion also, but I wanted to do different stuff and have those opportunities. And for me, it was all about giving me the opportunity to showcase myself and what I can do. Now, I'm double champ. I obviously want to keep, both these belts, definitely want to keep the heavyweight belt. I can bounce back and forth pretty easily. And so it's not like I'm cutting down from 250 to fight and it's hell to get down to light heavyweight. I can get down there pretty easily with, with some time, so for me right now, I'd like to go defend my belt at 205, and then I would like to fight again at 205 while my body is primed for that weight. And it's been some years since I've been down there. No fault in on my side, because they asked me to come do this heavyweight. They asked me to defend the heavyweight title after that Grand Prix. So I've been doing whatever Bellator says. So I'd like to get a couple fights at 205. I'd love to get you go out there, beat Nemkov, and then maybe turn around and give Machida, a title shot.
Yeah.
Get that loss back, and then kind of bounce up and back and forth. And I'd also like to fight in Japan. I'd like to fight for the Rising belt. Having 3 belts by the end of the year wouldn't be a bad deal.
For sure. Well, hey, we appreciate you breaking the news of your fight here on ESPN. Before I let you go, I'll ask you about two of your old friends, nemesises, whatever you want to call them. But I'd be curious to know your thoughts on John Jones. He had that really close fight with Dominic Reyes, and and now he's saying that he wants more money, that he'd be interested in moving up to heavyweight, but he's not getting the contract offers at the UFC. Have you had any thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I would love to get back in there. We've been trying to, there's not going to be really any cross promotion. I know that's probably not going to happen while I'm still fighting, maybe one day, but I would love to do some sort of even exhibition cross promotion with John Jones. I feel like I've grown so much, with him having close fights. I mean, you're going to have close fights. There's, especially when you're at your top, there's people chomping at your heels every day. And, training for you, wanting to get up there, wanting to not only win the championship, but beat John Jones, who's one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. So some days you walk out there and you're not the best, you're going to have close fights, but at the end of the day, he's still winning. Would I want that fight? Hell yeah, I'd want that fight. Do I think it could ever happen? Probably not. I don't see UFC releasing him. So I just don't see a way we could actually make that happen.
Yeah. Well, never say never, but
never. Yeah, you never know.
Doesn't look likely at the moment, at least. And then how about the guy that you once confronted at a press conference, Daniel Cormier? He says it's his last fight going up against Stipe. What do you think about DC's last fight, and do you think he beats Stipe and then goes out on top with a heavyweight title?
That fight is so hard to call. DC definitely can go out there if he can wrestle Stipe. I think he can go out there and get the win. But even looking at last fight, Stipe looked great. He started a little slow, but I've trained with Stipe, for a few days when he was training for that fight, the first fight with Cormier, and Stipe can go. He has no quit in him, and he'll continue to go. And if he can wear down DC again, that's a toss-up fight for me. But DC does have the tools if he wrestles, for sure. And I think there's 2 people. If I look back and say, hey, I wish I would have fought, these 2 fighters, they'd probably be DC and then Shogun. I always thought I was going to fight Shogun, when I was in the UFC, and that never transpired. And purely out of respect, just like this last Fedor fight, I want to get in there with those legends before they retire and put their gloves down. So, but that fight, DC and Stipe, man, it's a toss-up for me.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we appreciate the analysis. We appreciate the time. Best of luck, and congratulations on getting a fight finally after a 4 or 5 month training camp, man.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, but we'll look forward to it. Thanks, Ryan.
We'll see you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.